In the quiet corners of forgotten places, some things refuse to fade away. When inheritance papers led me to a house I never knew existed, a legacy left by a family I barely remembered, I thought it was a new beginning. I should have known better. The moment I stepped onto that decaying porch, the air felt heavy, thick with a silence that wasn't peaceful. It was waiting. It began subtly. A flicker in the periphery, a corner of the room that seemed just a little too dark, even in the middle of the day. At first, I dismissed it as my imagination. My mind playing tricks on me in the unfamiliar space, but the darkness started to take shape. It wasn't just an absence of light, it was a presence. It would coalesce in the deep shadows of the living room, a formless, shifting thing that defied logic. I'd turn on a lamp, and instead of retreating, the shadows would stretch and dance, clawing at the walls as if enraged by the light. Then came the whispers, not words, but a sound like dry leaves skittering across pavement, coming from empty hallways. I'd follow the noise, my heart pounding against my ribs, only to find nothing, but I could feel it, a cold spot in the air, a feeling of being watched by something just beyond sight. The house itself seemed to be conspiring with it, a teacup sliding across a table on its own, book falling from a shelf with no one near it. Small, impossible movements designed to unravel my sanity, to make me question everything I was seeing. The true terror began with the mirrors. They didn't just reflect the room, they showed something more. One evening, as I stood before the antique mirror in the upstairs hall, I saw it clearly for the first time. Behind my own terrified face, a figure lingered in the reflection. It was tall, gaunt, with hollow eyes that stared right through me. I spun around, but the hallway was empty. Yet, in the glass, it was still there, closer this time, its form sharpening with each passing second. I ran, but where could I go? The shadow was no longer content to stay in the corners. It started to creep, to flow across the floorboards like spilled ink, a living entity of pure blackness. It stretched toward me, its tendrils reaching, and I felt a cold that had nothing to do with the temperature. It was a cold that seeped into my bones, a cold of absolute dread. I knew then that I had to get out. I made a break for the front door, my breath catching in my throat as shadows lunged at me from the walls, twisting the hallway into a nightmare tunnel. My fingers were inches from the doorknob when it slammed shut with a deafening boom that shook the entire house. The sound echoed, then faded into a silence more terrifying than any scream. I was trapped. The house was no longer just a house, it was a cage, and the shadow was its warden. Now, the quiet is the worst part. The furniture is overturned, the air is still and cold, but the shadows pulse, they breathe, they are alive, and they are waiting. The shadow that came with this house is the shadow that stayed, and I think, now, it's a part of me. Thank you for watching. If you were captivated by this story, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales from the shadows. Stay safe, and check your corners.